to Oktoberfest at Frankie Bones in Bluffton. One of our chef series through WAHHI. We're so glad you braved the weather and you are here to have some fun tonight. My name is Claudia Aller, and this is my co-host Denise Naley. So we are happy to bring this to you this evening as part of our chef series. We're zooming, so you can see the folks are zooming at home. We've gotten a little high tech, so give everybody a wave. Very good. So the first thing I thought we would do is turn it over to Kristen Benoit. She is our marketing manager for Surge Group for many of the restaurants. I just wanted her to talk a little bit about this beautiful new Frankie Bones restaurant here in Bluffton, the facility, and then we're going to hear from the general manager.
Hi there, thank you so much, and thank you all for being here. Actually, my name is Kristen Benoit, and I am actually the director of private dining, so I handle all the private events at all of our larger restaurants here. So happy to have y'all here. We opened up in February, just in time for the pandemic to shut us back down. But we're so excited. We are a 250-seat restaurant. We have great patio dining, lounge, love our main dining room, and then my favorite part of this as the private event manager is the boardroom here. It's twice the size of the one on Hilton Head. It typically accommodates 72 people. Right now during COVID, we can do about 35 to 40. So I hope y'all enjoy yourselves here and think about us when you want to have another event, okay?
Thank you, Kristen. And Kristen will be working with us on our 60th anniversary event at the Pavilion, as well as our Poseidon, as well as the Shelter Cove event at the Poseidon. So we thank you for everything you do for us. Next, I just thought we would hear from Doug Runyon. Doug is the general manager here and and a partner.
Managing partner. Yeah.
Managing partner. I wanted to make sure that you all felt really good about what the Surge Group is doing to keep us all safe during the pandemic and how they're following the protocols from the Palmetto protocol priorities. So, and it was pretty cool. We met here for our dress rehearsal and they walked us through some of the care they take. So I just wanted Doug to tell us what they do here to get us ready for this event.
Sure. Thank you. Basically, whenever the Palmetto Priority Program came out, it was a way to have everybody have a standard for cleanliness, social distancing, and sanitizing, everything like that. So a lot of modifications. It's been fun when we opened up in early February. Seems like we did a new set of rules every month. You know, we had to close down for 6 weeks, then we did to-goes for 6 weeks, then outside dining for a couple weeks, and then 8-foot spacing, now 6-foot spacing. So some of the things you'll see us walking around doing is we have these little nice peroxide sanitizing solutions everywhere in the restaurant. So we sanitize everything. You'll notice you don't see any salt and peppers on the tables. When we seat tables in the restaurant, they don't have anything on them. You actually have a nice little sign that says sanitized for your convenience. We give you the silverware when we seat you. You get your menus. All of our menus are sanitized in between each use. You'll see up at our host stand, there's a sanitized and a non-sanitized pile. So we actually have to employ one extra host every night just to sanitize all of our menus. You'll see every once in a while, based upon city needs, we have to move tables around. So we walk around with this little 6-foot 2x4. We call it the Board of Education. But if you want to test it, all your tables are spaced out 6 feet apart. It's also good for employee motivation if you ever need. We all wear masks. Anybody who is serving ready-to-eat food wears gloves. That's standard protocol for everything. You know, a lot of things with the Palmetto Priority Program too were things that we already do in the restaurant as it was, kind of standard operating procedure in restaurants. But if you do have any questions, there are actually signs everywhere in the restaurant now detailing all the things in the restaurant that we're following to keep you guys safe and keep our employees safe.
Thanks, Doug.
Did I miss anything?
No, that's perfect. Thank you. All right, ladies. So thank you for everything. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Denise, and we're going to begin our program.
Let's see if we can do our, Me.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Hang on one second, Chef. I want to do a quick intro so that our people online also get a little bit of background about you, and then it's all you. So hang on.
I know what's going on here.
So you've already met Luke Lyons, the executive chef and partner here for Frankie Bones in Bluffton. Chef Lyons graduated from the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York, and worked under Kevin Walker at the Greenville, South Carolina Country Club. When working for Chef Walker, he assisted him in preparing for the certified master chef exam and was placed in charge of the apprentices, assisting them during the exam as well. And then Chef Luke relocated to New York in 2002, where he increased his knowledge in French cuisine at the restaurant Maribel, an award-winning restaurant in Long Island. He eventually returned to South Carolina as sous chef at the Alligator Grill in 2005 and was named executive chef in 2007. In late 2008, Chef Lyons joined the Surge group at Frankie Bones and was named executive chef shortly thereafter. And Chef Luke is going to be walking us through a very specific menu that is part of Oktoberfest that Frankie Bones does, both here and the island location. So hopefully you'll get not only the German taste of food, but a great experience on how Chef prepares for you today so that you'll want to come back and try other things on the menu. So Chef, please tell us about what we're eating.
Well, one other thing going on to my bio for the most part, my grandfather was actually a German chef. He came over in the early 1900s, hop ship in New York City, went to the consulate, was like, I'd like to be a citizen. They said yes. So they went to the ship, was like, I'm staying. He used to flip restaurants in Long Island back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and they were always by the Catholic church or the railroad station. So he used to buy ones that were going down and then turn them over. On the other side of the kitchen, actually, on the door going in, there's actually an old menu from his Backstreet Tavern. It's a scroll menu. I think twin lobster tails were like $4. I mean, that's how old that menu is. A cup of coffee is like 25 cents. So I grew up in restaurants for the most part. My mother managed restaurants when I was growing up. So when I got out of preschool, I'd be going to the restaurant and all the cute waitresses would be taking care of me for a couple hours until she took me home. So I pretty much spent my entire life in a restaurant, it seems like. So Oktoberfest is kind of dear to me, just for my grandfather and my family. The first thing that we're going to prepare is the potato pancakes, which is actually a family recipe from my grandfather that we serve here as an appetizer. Easily probably the most popular appetizers that we have for Oktoberfest. We sell easily a couple dozen, it seems like, of orders of potato pancakes a night. So it's really simple and it's really easy to make the potato pancakes. What you want to do, that's gonna work.
Yes.
We go all cheap. So you're gonna grab a large potato. We use what are 40-count potatoes. That means there's pretty much 40 potatoes to a 50-pound case. You're gonna peel your potatoes, and then you're gonna use a box grater to grate them on the largest hole on the box grater. You don't have to be completely thorough in peeling your potatoes and get every little skin off, but if it has dark spots on it, that's what that little part right there on your peelers are for. That's to scoop out the dark spots in your potatoes.
Like a peeler.
Like that thing right there, it's gonna peel it right out.
Do you sell those peelers?
Amazon does. Where I get most of my stuff. When we get to the Spetzel maker, I'm gonna tell you to look at Amazon too. So you're gonna use your box grater, or it's commonly referred to in our kitchens as the knuckle buster. So you gotta be very careful when you get down to the bottom that your knuckles are not on it. Otherwise, it's gonna be like you tripped on concrete. We make these about 10 to 12 potatoes recipe a day. What's that?
I stopped using that. I just throw it in the, does it mess it up?
I think you get a better texture and result by using the hand grater, because it's just the way that it's made to be. It's not mechanical. It's just the way that it's always been done back in the day. And one trick you can do is if you get to the bottom, you can use a towel to hold it. That way it doesn't go, you don't go into it. You don't have to eat all of it either. You can discard that last little piece. So you got your potatoes grated. Into a bowl, you're gonna crack an egg. You're gonna add your flour, baking powder, touch of salt, touch of pepper. Mix that up. The flour is just in there to help bind everything together, especially the potato juices that are going to come out, because as it sits there and a little bit of salt, it's going to leach a little bit. And just gently mix that all together.
Chef, could you squeeze out the shredded
I
potato?
do not squeeze them out. Nope. Some people can. You can get a little bit more crisp. But if you are making a small batch and you get it right in there, I think it comes out just fine, especially when you're going to cook it at a little bit of high heat. Now for our portion sizes, we basically just use a spoon as a scoop. I mean, you could use whatever you want, but I was taught to use a spoon by my mother, so we use a spoon. That's how the family did it. That's how we're going to serve it. It's basically a heaping tablespoon. One of these spoons is actually 1 tablespoon. Medium-high heat. A little bit of frying oil. It's probably going to take about 3 minutes per side to cook all the way through. If you don't cook it, you want to get a nice crispy outside and a nice mealy inside. So you want to like mashed potatoes on the inside. I like to think it tastes a lot like a McDonald's hash brown potato when it gets done. It's fresh and done. It's crispy on the outside, but it's nice and soft on the inside. That's what you're going for. I am using a butter blend. You could use anything that you really want. My recommendation would probably be a tab of regular butter with a little bit of maybe salad oil, because that way you don't get too high of a smoking point. A smoking point is a point at which oil smokes. Olive oil has the lowest smoking point, so, and like canola oil and peanut oil have higher smoking points. That way, that's where your oil is going to catch on fire, and you don't want it to catch on fire. That's what I sometimes at home, not that often. I've used it here a little bit, but not so much that often. I mean, it's pretty much we use a blended vegetable and olive oil. We have our salad oil, we have extra virgin olive oil, and we have our butter blend that we use here as well. This is what we do most of our cooking in.
When you say salad oil, what does that mean?
Lesson oil.
Okay, thank you.
So basic vegetable oil.
Right,
It's a neutral flavored oil. That's why they call it a salad oil, because you use it to emulsify or make your vinaigrettes without adding any other flavors to it. You could use like coconut oil, avocado oil if you're going for those flavors in your salad dressings.
Do you have a question over there too?
I would use Idaho potatoes is my recommendation. Idaho potatoes do work the best for in this instance because of their starchiness and moisture content. You could use like Yukon Gold potatoes.
Red potatoes.
You could use a red potato. It's going to be it's a lot wetter. It's a lot waxier. I mean, you have to get big ones. And like I said, they can make one batch, like that with one potato is one of the largest potatoes you find in the supermarket. And you'll make a dozen or 10 to 12 pancakes. So you can make dinner that night. We serve these here at the restaurant as an appetizer. You get 5 of these to an order, and that's your appetizer for $5 or $6. I think it's maybe $5.50 on the menu. And it's served with our sour cream, applesauce, and we do a little chive point on top of that. But basically, when you're cooking it over the medium-high heat, you're looking for that nice golden brown consistency. Flip it over very carefully. Always flip away from you so you don't burn yourself. When you flip towards you, the oil can come at you, and you don't want that to happen. And if you even think you need to cook it more, pop it in the oven for a couple minutes. It'll cook all the way through without burning it.
Say that last part again. I'm sorry. Cook in the oven.
If you think that you have not cooked your potato or pancake all the way through, you can finish it in the oven.
Okay. With the oil and everything.
Yeah. And if you were gonna like par cook it like we do here for service at home, you definitely need to make sure that you cook your potatoes all the way through. Otherwise, it's going to turn black while it sits and you wait to reheat it. And you can reheat it in the oven or back in a pan with very minimal oil to crisp it back up. You always want to add a little bit of salt and pepper right before you're done. And that's how we make our potato pancakes here at Frankie Bones. The next two things that we're going to show you is the braised red cabbage and the spätzle. I'll start with the braised red cabbage because that's going to take the longest. As you can see in your cooking instructions, it takes about an hour to make your braised red cabbage because you got to let it simmer for a while just to break down the cabbage. What you're going to want is 1 onion julienne. This julienne means cut in long, thin strips. You cut off both ends, peel your skin off. And I cut it with the grain. As you can see, the grain goes with it. Some people can cut across the grain for other things that you're cooking with. I typically cut with the grain so that it holds its structure. I actually don't use this knife that much. I don't break it out in the kitchen. This is a really nice knife. It's one of my favorite knives that you can buy. It's not cheap either. So you don't see this often back there. I break this out when I'm going to be cooking at home or if I'm making some nice things or doing wine dinner knife cuts because it's very, very sharp. This is a specialty knife where it's only sharpened really on one side. It's a Japanese knife and the back side isn't. So it's only got an edge on one side. So when you're sharpening it, you're going to sharpen like 3 to 4 times on that side and then bring it back one other time. This is a Masuno knife. It's a Swedish steel made in Japan, I think. So the Japanese buy the steel and then they sharpen it. Yeah, it's pretty sharp. I like that knife a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to saute our onions in bacon fat. I don't know about you, but when I cook bacon at home, I keep my bacon fat and I cook in my bacon fat. And here at Oktoberfest, just about everything we make, except for the sauerbraten, pretty much has bacon fat in it. So we're going to saute our onions off. Just give me 1 second while that cooks. I'm going to right back here.
Answer this question. Yes.
All right. Well, while we're waiting for Chef to come back, we have a trivia question. A couple trivia questions here and there. All right. Here is your first trivia question of the night. Where does the world famous Oktoberfest take place? Munich, Frankfurt, Amsterdam, or Berlin? My answer is, I don't know the answer to that. And that one is, who said Munich?
Oh.
There you go. Okay. All right. What was the main attraction at the first Oktoberfest celebration? Was it the world's largest beer keg, a horse race, a hot air balloon ride, or the country's first roller coaster? The answer, a horse race. All right, here we are back again.
And would you also confirm that the people online are going to get the recipe cards? You can just say it because there's been a text right here.
Yeah, this is a real one.
Oh,
This is what's called a mandolin. This is how you can shape things very, very thinly. And then you have your red cabbage. You get your red cabbage whole at Publix. I was recently looking for it. I didn't see much at Kroger, but Publix has plenty of it. We actually buy ours here pre-shredded. Commercialized, you can get a lot of things, some things a lot easier. So with your sharp knife, cut the bottom off. You're going to cut it in half. There is a core in it. You could use a knife to cut this, and you can cut it thick. You cut it a little bit thin and consistent just using that. When we cut the core off, that is inedible. One head of cabbage probably weighs 2 to 3 pounds. So you're gonna make a good amount of red cabbage off of this, but it will hold for at least a week. Consider we're almost pickling it in a way. So as your onions are sweating, you'll see your onions get a little bit of a translucent color to it. This is called sweating your onions. So as you get translucent, that is when you're going to add the rest of your cabbage. That's only the onions and bacon.
I know.
There's more goodies going in there. In your recipe, it says that you're going to take juniper berries and you wrap it in cheesecloth. You don't have to do that or use the juniper berries for the most part. Juniper berries are basically what you get gin out of. It's juniper to make gin, so it's got that anisey flavor, kind of liquor, fennelly, I guess you could call that. Kind of pickly. You can throw them right in there, just pull them out as you eat them. I mean, it's not going to kill you.
Where do you find juniper berries?
You might be able to find it like Whole Foods or anything, but you can always check Amazon. They got everything. I wouldn't just put gin in it. Juniper's got a sweeter flavor than just gin. Gin's more pine tree in my world. It reminds me of Christmas. So as you're sweating that down, you can add applesauce. You could use fresh apples too if you wish. That would be your choice.
Chef, what type of apple would you use in that?
Granny Smith.
Yes. Is your applesauce sweetened or is it unsweetened?
I'm sorry?
Unsweetened applesauce? Or does it have sugar in it?
I'm betting this has sugar in it. You could use unsweetened all natural applesauce. It wouldn't even matter because we're going to add sugar anyway.
Okay.
Basically, what we're going to create is what's called a gastrite. That's like half sugar, half vinegar, so you get the sweet and sour. So we're going to use apple cider vinegar and sugar equal parts. And we're going to add just a touch of water to help all that come together. Now with that, you're going to cook it over. I'm going to say medium-low heat. You just want it to simmer. So when it comes to a boil, it's going to come to a simmer, and it's going to cook for about an hour to break down all the structure that's in there, so you get the nice softer texture in your red cabbage. And as you get to the end of it, you're going to make what's called a slurry. A slurry is when you take cornstarch and water and mix it together, and you're looking for like the consistency of heavy cream. Then you can add it to your what you're cooking to thicken up the liquid. Because after you got this is very, very liquidy right now, but after an hour it's going to reduce down. There's still going to be a little bit more liquid in there. What you want to do is thicken it up so it coats. It just hugs on to all the red cabbage in there to make a nice velvety texture. I'm going to simmer for about an hour, stirring often. You'll see now, as I bring that to a boil, I'll add the cornstarch to it, and you'll see how much it thickens up. You can also use arrowroot that you don't have to boil. Cornstarch or a flour root you have to bring to a boil. Well, that's coming to a boil. We're going to work on a little bit of spätzle. Spätzle is a German dumpling. That's basically what it is. It's a German pasta. They're small little dumplings that you saute in a little bit of butter. Common served with most German food, it seems like. So you're going to have your flour, 1 egg, about 4 ounces of milk, touch of parsley, salt, I'm just doing a cup here. I nailed this down a bunch.
I'm reading the recipe.
Yeah, I was gonna do that, but then I was gonna make a batch just like that. I mean, that's a dinner batch right there. I'm just making a small little batch to show you the easy ways of how to do that. Now you can get a Spetzel press, which looks kind of like a big garlic press, and you put your Spetzel in there and you squeeze it into your salted water. Or you can do it one of the other two ways that I've learned how to do that, which is using a food mill, which we have a really, really big one of these that we make our mashed potatoes in. That's got like, it's like that big, but that's how we make our mashed potatoes. We food mill them every day, lots of butter and lots of milk. Or you could use a perforated pan. This is like the original way that I learned how to do it with the perforated pan. And a Spetzel maker kind of looks like that halfway, but it's got a little reservoir on top that you slide up and down, and it cuts the Spetzel into the water. That's another Spetzel maker. So for this, you got boiling water, boiling salted water. You typically want to let your Spetzel dough rest for a little while. With the magic of TV, you don't have to worry about that today. But with the food mill, when it just squeezes, it's going to spin it right up into there. Your Spetzel's going to go into the water, and when it floats, you're going to see it come to the top. You're going to wait about 10 more seconds for it to be done. And that'll mean it's cooked through. It's kind of like gnocchi at the same time. And if you're pre-making it, you want to take it and put it in ice water at home, just like you would do like pasta. If you pre-make some pasta, you're going to shock it, reserve it, and then you can reheat it in a pan with a little bit of butter, salt, and pepper later. That's pretty much your Spetzel through the food mill. And you can do it the one other way is through the pan. Just kind of give you a bit longer of a dough, I believe. Press it through. Same effect. You get the same thing. Here's the cabbage. Now that's come to a boil. It's been simmering slightly for a little bit. You got a little bit of that slurry to it.
Now, if you use the arrowroot, you say you don't have to make a slurry, or you
No?
just put
Oh, you gotta make somewhat of a slurry. It's just like, it doesn't have to boil though. You can almost do it like cold. It doesn't have to come to 212 degrees like cornstarch and flour to cook the starchiness out of it. And that thickens up already. You can see it almost hits it. Keeps it up. Let's let that cook for a while so you guys can keep smelling it.
Chef, is there anything we need to know about the beers that are going with this meal?
The beers. All right. So the first beer that we have is made by Riverdog, which is right over here on 170. They have a whole tasting room and everything. They brew everything. It's up, what is that park called? I can't even think of it. Riverwalk? Yeah. It's in Riverwalk. Riverdog is in Riverwalk. So they have their own little tasting room. I don't know if that's really open right now, but you can grab beers from there all the time. And then the other beer we have, I don't even know how to pronounce it for the most part. I know it's a German beer. Tasted it yesterday. It's a delicious beer. It's actually won like beer of the decade and a bunch of other awards.
Here they are. Look at you. Some people at home can see them, they should get them.
The folks at home are drinking their beer.
It's a Helle style beer, which is a lager style beer that is popular in Germany. It was awarded beer of the decade, beer of the year. It's won World Beer Cup 9 times. And the Cravat sets a benchmark of craft festival beers. Crisp, elegant, and complex.
job.
Thank you for tasting those. All right, and the last thing we're going to show you is how to make your schnitzel. We bread it and we're going to fry it. So basically what we have is a boneless pork loin that we use, and then we cut it into a cutlet, and then we pound it until you get that with the little meat pounder. This is actually the board that we pound all of our meat on too. So we pound it on the wooden block, covered in plastic wrap, pound it until you get almost paper thin, but still intact.
I'm sorry, what pork cut?
Is a pork loin, a boneless pork loin. So boneless pork chops. If you go and you get your boneless pork chops at the supermarket, they will work perfect for that pounded out. Even a small pork chop turns into a big schnitzel. You could use tenderloin, it just costs more. Yeah. Just about anything you're going to pound out like that is always going to tenderize it. What we're going to use is your standard breading procedure. Standard breading procedure is flour, egg, and your breader. Here we're going to use panko breadcrumbs. On my first pan, I'm going to do flour. I'm going to season it ever so lightly. Just salt and pepper. Next pan is going to have my egg in it. That's going to be the glue. And then we use panko breadcrumbs. I find panko to be one of the better breaders that you can find out there. It's nice, it's crisp, it's a Japanese style. Every supermarket has it.
That's plain too.
That is plain breadcrumbs, yes.
So that's the flour first.
Flour first. And when breading, you always want to keep one hand for the dry ingredients and one hand for the wet ingredients. Otherwise, you get what's called the claw, and that's where it all clumps up on your fingers.
What happens if I click it?
Gloves help too. You always change those. So you put your dry into your wet. Put your wet with your wet hand. Oops. Make sure you get it nice and coated. Wet into the dry.
Chef Luke, we do have a question. Is there gluten-free panko breadcrumbs? Does that exist?
I believe so.
There is.
From Amazon? Is that
Probably, or Publix. I think I've seen it somewhere like that before. But the thing is, then you'd have to use rice flour or something like that as your original flour to keep it gluten-free.
Okay, thank you.
Because you need the flour to hold the egg to hold the breading. Otherwise, it doesn't work. It'll all come apart. And we got our pan over medium-high heat. And we're going to pan fry. When you pan fry something, you want it to cover it about halfway up. So you're going to use a good amount of oil on this one.
Is that the same oil, butter?
It's the same butter blend that we use for our cooking here too. But once again, you could use butter or bacon fat if you really want bacon fat. Always laid in away from you. And we're going to cook until it's golden brown on both sides. Or GBD, golden brown and delicious in the culinary world. So we got some of our braised red cabbage. Our spetzel, which you can heat back up in a pan, saute it in butter, brown it up a little bit, or serve it just like that with salt and pepper on it, straight out of the pot. We serve our schnitzels here with what we call Espanol sauce, which is a deviation of a demi-glace. It's a brown sauce, the brown gravy. For at home, you can basically buy that McCormick brown sauce, brown gravy. It's going to work just as good as what we have here. And you can get that same flavor. It's just as easy. Because you really can't find the sauce that we use here in a grocery store. It's made by miners. It's kind of, I'm not gonna lie, it's a base that we use, but I wish you could find it in a grocery store because I would buy it every day. You can't find a good demi-glace in a grocery store either, because a demi-glace is a true beef stock or veal stock that's reduced all the way down, and that's where you get like a really, really good meat sauce to serve with really good steaks. That's pretty much what you're looking for, nice and golden brown on the outside. You get that nice pork, thin pork cutlet, nice and golden brown on both sides. It's going to be cooked through. You don't have to worry about it. Kind of the point.
Is that the size?
Perception of value.
Is that the size you serve if we order here?
That is one that I pulled right out of our prep from the back.
Okay, great.
So that's the single serving.
I'm sorry?
Can you buy the butter blend that you use?
I've never seen it in the grocery store. It's kind of like what we call fake butter. We use it in the restaurant. The restaurants use it because it's got butter flavor, but it's not really butter. Butter's expensive. So it's basically just a mixture of, it's not hydrogenized in any way, shape, or form, but it's got the butter flavor, a little bit of oil in it, and we cook a lot here with it just so you get that flavor. And quite frankly, I think that's what makes our schnitzel really, really good and stand out from everybody else's, is being able to use that. And as well, it has a high smoking point. If I was at home and I was doing this, I'd probably use a 50-50 mix of butter and vegetable oil. That way you're going to get all the flavor from this, and it's going to be just as good.
For the folks who have this at home for reheating, they don't have to do the.
They don't have to go through all this. No, they're just popping that in the oven and off it goes. Little toaster oven's perfect. That's what you're looking for, nice and golden brown on both sides. You also find the capers that we're serving with at the supermarket all the time, and it's like I said, the brown sauce at the same time. You can find in the supermarket just about all the ingredients. You buy your boneless pork loin, you can probably pretty much get a cutlet, pound it out yourself. Just be careful pounding it, not to break it up too much. Bread it and pan fry it. Be careful not to burn yourself. And then for dessert, you're going to have a little bit of an apple strudel, which if I was to show you, you'd probably be here for another half an hour to 45 minutes just making that. Because the layers of the phyllo dough is what really makes the apple strudel, but you will be enjoying that for dessert. Any other questions?
I will say one thing, I was here last night and your pork shank was fabulous.
Yeah, the Hoxton.
Oh, yes.
The Hoxton is another German specialty that I don't know where I got that recipe from, but it's a good recipe. It's an apple cider brine pork shank, basically a pork ossobuco, and I braise it in bacon fat for 2 hours. And then I fry it before we serve it to you. Yeah, it's pretty. It's good. I mean, I try to stay away from it, but I can't help it sometimes. And it stands off the plate like that big. It's a £1.5 pork shank.
And that's only available on the.
It is on the Oktoberfest menu. So we have our own separate Oktoberfest menu. There's what, 4 different appetizers you can get and a bunch of entrees. So we sell pretzels with a beer cheese sauce and some mustard. The potato pancakes you'd also get. There is the cucumber dill salad, which is a salad that my mother used to eat all the time as I was a child. So I pretty much try to make the same as what she eats. A little bit of tomatoes. It's got a sour cream and cider vinegar dressing that goes on it with dill. And then the potato pancakes, which we saw tonight. The beef roulade is another classic Oktoberfest item that we do here. Basically, it's beef sirloin that we cut. We pound that out like it's a schnitzel, and it gets rolled with brown mustard, bacon, shaved onion, and a pickle. And then that gets braised in the onion gravy. Then we have our classic sauerbraten, which is pretty much the same as my grandfather's recipe, only he puts celery in it, but I don't think the celery goes really good with it these days. Makes it a little bit tough because you puree it with ginger snaps. We take the beef sirloin and we marinate it for 5 to 7 days, and we braise it in the same brine liquid that we do. And then when it's done, we take the meat out, we pour ginger snaps in, you puree it up, and that's when you get the sweet and sour. And then we have our Schweinhocks, which we talked about, our schnitzels, which we have both pork and veal. One is Schwein, which is pork, Wiener, which is veal. And then we have our specialty plate that has a knockwurst, bratwurst, rouladen, and a sauerbraten on it as well, if you're really hungry. It's a big plate.
And these are at both locations?
This is at both locations, yes.
Excuse me, are any of these on your takeout?
You can get any of that to go. We're in business. We're trying to sell everything.
Your lasagna, my husband picked up here one day for us and brought home and baked it.
Was that from the grab and go or?
Yeah, the grab and go. So will these
Glad to
be-
hear that.
Will these be on the grab and go?
I have not tried that one yet. This is our first attempt doing the Oktoberfest here, and now we have the grab and go that we designed here.
Yeah.
Kind of worked out in a way. I had not experimented in putting any of this in the frozen. I don't know how it's going to work.
Can you share the grab and go concept with the folks online since they didn't walk past it in the?
So the grab and go we have out front, basically we have a refrigerator and we have a freezer. The refrigerator is mostly desserts right now for grab and go, and you get some beers and wine that we have in there. But the frozen section, we have a line of frozen meals for two that are in there. What do we have? We have lasagna, we have meatballs and sausage, we have our seafood cannelloni, as well as our regular St. Louis cannelloni, as well as some other things that we put in there. I had fricadelle that were in there in the beginning, which was a lunch special today. Fricadelle is a German or Danish meat patty or meatball that I serve with a lingonberry demi-glace. It's really good, actually. People don't really get it until they have it. I learned to make it at culinary school. When I made it 20-something years ago, I was like, this is good. So I'm still making it. So that's one other thing. But there's a whole line of items in which you can get there. You can probably find what's in there online. If not, we just need to update it. But you can order it through our table up, or you can order it off our website.
I heard that this location also does catering now that you have expanded kitchen. Can you talk about how are you doing catering right now for organizations?
We were planning on doing catering in this restaurant, and designed it to do catering for large parties. But the world has kind of taken us for a different turn these days. I mean, this is one of the first large parties we've actually had in here of multiple people that I've been present with. Except I think my son's 4th birthday on March 14th. That was pretty much the last party we had in here.
Okay.
So things are slowly coming, and we're practicing our safety measures and trying to do our best we can, and hopefully be able to encourage more parties and events moving forward, that you can see that we're doing our best to keep it safe.
And how many does this room hold normally, normal circumstance?
60 to 70.
Okay.
It's 72, it maxes out at 72.
Okay.
And then right now we're 30 to 35 that we can do in here with the social distancing and
Okay.
everything. He's taking up one space, so we can do another.
Yeah, you can fit another.
Yeah.
2 tables and we can do 35.
Okay.
Any more questions for Chef? I can bring around the mic.
If not, I'll get back and start getting your first course going.
Wait, I have one, which I just thought of.
That's why I want them to hear it.
I'll repeat it.
When you make the oil butter thing, do you, let's say you keep that in the fridge, you keep it out, where do you keep it if you're at home? Or
Well,
do you
basically, I'm gonna make it in the
do
pan. I'm gonna, like, when I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna take a little bit of oil, put it in the pan, put a little bit of butter in the pan.
Right.
Once that butter's melted and starts bubbling is when I'm gonna add my product to cook it.
No, I'm sorry, I mean like.
This is a pre-bought
Right,
product.
okay, but let's just pretend like I was making it at home. Do I get rid of it or say I can save it? Like if I'm cooking dinner, should I just?
Butter and oil, you can save it, you just gotta strain it, because after you cook it, you can have that, so I'm gonna discard it
Okay,
personally.
okay, gotcha.
And I'm gonna make what I need to use in the pan each time.
Right, okay, oh, I see what you mean, you make it up just with the.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm just adding my fats to the pan that I'm gonna cook, and I'm gonna go from there, and I'm gonna cook the product that I'm using.
okay, gotcha.
Any other questions?
Everybody ready to eat?
Yes.
One more question.
Which of your products are at the Surge, I call it the Surge Takeout Kitchen on the island?
There's a bunch of them that I see right now. Every time I look there, I see a bunch of stuff from Frankie Bones there.
Yeah.
I know the spaghetti meatballs there. They're doing schnitzels, chicken piccata, chicken marsala. I mean, I don't go there that often to see it. I mean, I've been to Frankie Bones for 12 years, and then for the last year, I've been here. I would commute from this road to the island. Now I actually live on Buckwalter. My kid goes to Cross, and I work here. So I barely try to leave Buckwalter. Like going to Simmonsville is like going out of town. Yeah, they make everything that's made there is prepared there and served there. They just use our recipes. Or Chef Nick's recipes or my recipes. When we first opened, we were using their product in there because we were first opening up, and we put that in the freezer. But we became established, and we're just stocking our own stuff out there.
We've got a lot of great feedback from the folks on camera. Hi, everybody. Seems like everyone enjoyed it.
I'm gonna get your first one.
Hey, Claudia, let's do this quick, just for these people that we can share. Here, let me stop sharing. Hang on. I want to show them the chef series. Hang on 1 second. Give me 1 second here, folks. I'm going to stop sharing for a second and add. And come back over here. And let me get to the next screen. We just want to remind everybody what the upcoming chef series are. The folks here are enjoying their beer, so I apologize if it's getting loud for you. But we do have a few more series in the chef series coming up. Several of them are full for in-person, just based on maintaining our social distance requirements, but there's still options for takeout boxes and Zoom, so we appreciate you all being on here with us. We don't have the last fall finale with Chef Orchid at One Hot Mama's available for registration yet. I know people have been asking about that, but please stay in tune and watch for the emails so that you can get signed up for those. And we'll continue to take your feedback for how the boxes are working for you at home, and if the information shared on the Zoom event allows you to feel like you're part of the event here. So thanks all for joining in, and please enjoy all of your reheated items at home if you haven't already started consuming your beer. And yes, we will get you the recipes that are here on cards for these attendees. We will get those to you as well. So thanks much for dialing in.